Alright, we're back. So, let's go about solving this mystery. Court will now... Oh, no. Cout will now reconvene? Typo. Has our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered? Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness. Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again. That's the thing, you see, she's quite fatigued. Oh, is she now? You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Ms. Orley take the stand. Very well, the witness shall take the stand. Is she the killer, or isn't she? Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession? Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poorer loser. Yeah. Huh? Oh. Name's Olga Orley, that's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. Okay, her persona changed. People call me Olga Quickfingers Orley. Oh, really? Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like, oh really. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied. Okay. Witness, you'll tell the court what you were really up to that night. Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see? Let me remind you that you're currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borschtwohl Club several days prior to the night of the game. As a waitress. So you were in cahoots with the victim? Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. I see. But all this backfired somehow. Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Indeed, getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. And I would have gotten away with it if not for pesky Moose and Squirrel. Oh really? Oh really? Orley? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers Orley. Oh, really? The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick. Cute! Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court? Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung. Let's. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith, it was that no-good cheating defendant. The planted card was gone. Then what reason did he have to kill him? Surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you. Perfect! If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking. Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her who needs criminals. And with defendants like Mr. Wright who needs prosecutors. I planted the card like I was supposed to. This planted card, which card was it exactly? The trump card, the 5 of hearts. Let me guess, Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend. I slid it into Wright's pocket. When was this? Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating. At the Borscht Club, we served borscht and suckers. Remind me never to go there. Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and be allowed to thicken. Wright lost the last hand just as he was supposed to, and Smith searched him. So everything went according to plan. Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would forever be known as a cheat and a fraud. There are worse things to be known as, I suppose. Tell us what happened with the search. The card disappeared. That's the part I'd like to know more about. Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone, without a trace. Poof, Zippo. We searched every nook and cranny. Every nook and cranny? Even inside his cute little hat. But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long storied career. Never has quick fingers orally been so readily duped. Oh really? So what did happen to that 5 of hearts? Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. Wait, is that a little odd? What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing. Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... Oh. What was that just now? I sensed something. Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? Hell yeah, we're gonna press. Miss Orley, you're hiding something. What are you talking about? You... Me? Quick Fingers Orly, hide some... The feds will refrain from baseless accusations. I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true. I did see it, honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. With my own eyes, I saw it. What's this weird vibe I'm getting? That witness, for instance, Ms. Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Oh. A tell, is it? Touching her neck, was it? Well, what's going on? This sensation is coming into focus. There, that twitch. It's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before.
Gotcha!
Hmm? Ms. Orley, perhaps you're unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory as she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us? Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her of the most of the moment of the crime? Ms. Orley, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I notice it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an inerasable impression on your neck is this. Ooh. Wait a sec. Was she the one that was hit by this instead of Smith? Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And that reminds us more of that moment. What reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon? But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit, not you. This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits, they're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Ms. Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment. Yet, I am knowing nothing. Oh, you're back to this persona? We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now. Fine. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there. Hold it! You seem uneasy. You try sitting up here. Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came. No. Oh, wait. Wait, no. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony? Oh, she's full of shit. I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. What's that? Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony. She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. From the first floor, so that means he did leave the room. Because he didn't get reception from the basement. He had to go back upstairs. Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. Yeah. So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. Then who was it? Showdown time. You dirty cheat! Check his pockets, now! It's gone! The card's gone! You lose. Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to right. And he hit me. Oh, Smith was the one who... You! Some master of cheating you turned out to be! When I came to, the victim was already dead. Is that it? Oh, the victim was already dead. Is that it? That's fine. I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. Is that it? Then you're right. So there was a fourth person in the room? Well, where does this leave us? Madness! This is madness! I'm dreaming! It must have been me who was hit with a bottle. I'm imagining all this. If only. It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss Orley a big fat liar. Oh. What? 3 were in that room the night of the murder. The defendant, the victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive. Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of that argument was murder. But I am no killer! It's a trap! Someone's trying to frame me! Phoenix. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know two colors of cards were being used. So they weren't involved in the game at all. A fourth person. This theory again! Your fourth person doesn't exist! Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Remember what I said. The fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color on the backs of the cards. Right, but how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there is one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too, but why? Oh! Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? It's not me, I swear! Who is this fourth person? Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? Gavin. You're right, he said it himself, right at the start. Like, as if he knew. Oh my god. As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right? Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. But, of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue. The ones on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in this photo. Yeah, I see... Okay, yeah, this is blue right here. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It is true the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes. A test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Yup. He said it right there. Well, Kristoff? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me, it's just so sudden. Right? You aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Kristoff? You know, even I'd never take a joke this far. This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder? I assure you, I'm quite sane. But what possible connection would Mr. Gavin have to the victim? That's a good question. I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either. Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met. Have they? Well, what if they have? There is a possibility, after all. They may have met that night, before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, there's only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the... Oh. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin. Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Ms. Orley... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He's the defense, you know. Oh, you're right about that. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Okay. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Yeah, let's hear it. This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along, which is why he requested Apollo instead of Gavin to defend him. And I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. At 2, Justice. You would betray me, your teacher. Sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Although he's not in this picture, is he? Although he just says it's at the same table. Shoddy Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood straining from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Mr. Gavin? You were at the Borscht Club the night of the murder? I dine with him rather frequently. And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder? Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. We'll see. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice? Sir? He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright? This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Borstal Club quite frequently. We're enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot. As usual. Usual. I always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner? Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left. After that, Shoddy Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. 5 minutes? So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure. Oh, Mr. Wright. What was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shoddy Smith may have met. I believe I did say that. Here I was, all nervous about this meeting. And now we hear they just passed in the hall? That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be if that was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Ms. Olga Orley mentioned. The plan was simple. Elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. You swap the cards! Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. But that's not what happened. Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There's an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle? The murder weapon? Oh. Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama. A card inside the murder weapon, that's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Mr. Wright, the pokerhead of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. The bottle's completely empty. Huh. Please revise your testimony with this new information. Then why is it empty? Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely... ... isn't all you have to say for yourself? I can't say I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out? Oh, and a sixth person could have helped. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor. I will have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle, there was nothing. So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear? Or did the killer take it? Or did the killer take it? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence. Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? To call the police. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. When you returned, the victim was already... dead, yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. That's when I made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. Could you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Kristoff's law offices would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Ah, glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved, after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. Oh, okay. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with his testimony? At the table. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. It says the hat was removed during investigation, but this was how. Wait a second.
Objection!
His hat was still on when the body was discovered. So how did he see the blood? If I may, yes. Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He was wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. So what does this mean? Justice? Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. You did what? Huh? You put the hat on the dead man's head? Phoenix tampered with the crime scene then? He wore it through an entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view. Shining bright, just like in this photograph. And? I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry. But that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So Ms. Orley didn't see it. It being the victim's, his head. That's why she didn't mention the blow to the head right away. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin? This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Huh? Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Huh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone. That night. Recall I spoke with Defense Attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason I shouldn't play it back for the court. Oh, this is gonna get juicy. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him. Hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Bone china plate. A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny, and not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second. Something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china pate? Oh, that's right! Oh... I see where you were going with this. Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Because he was wearing the hat the whole time. How did he know he was bald? Well, Kristoff? Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. That's why you put the hat back on his head. Perhaps you'd like to explain this to the court. Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Yep. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright? Order! I will have order! Mr. Payne? Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, as the prosecutor, Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes. After which, Mr. Gavin will take the stand for a cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess for the day. Whew, this for the first trial, it's going on for quite a bit more than it has in previous games. Usually, it's a pretty hand-holding experience and is over fairly quickly, but not this time. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? Who's this? Oh, hello. What? Hello, sir. Please, pick a card. What's all this about? Is this one okay? A red card. Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you've chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all. An ace of spades. And is that a... Where do I remember this card from? Is that our missing ace? And it's got blood on it. I see. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you. The missing 5th ace. This blotch of red. Is this blood? Oh, good to finally notice. You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. Oh, are you the... She's the girl in that locket. This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl. I'd seen her recently, but where? The locket. That's when I made the connection. Yeah. Alright. Okay, this is a good break spot, so I'll see you in just a few minutes.